topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Draw me close to you, never let me go, and lay it all down again, to hear you say that I'm a friend.
Good day. The Almighty Creator desires a deep personal relationship with you. My name is James Robertson. I'm a researcher, publisher, and teacher regarding the matters and truths of the Almighty Creator, whose true name is Yah, the eternally self-existing. I've been actively serving him since 1993, over 32 years. If you're not actively serving Yah, then by default you're serving Satan. My objective is to show you how you can make a big difference on earth and qualify for a position of high esteem in heaven for eternity. It's important to understand that as a believer, just being good is not the point. It's relationship with Yah that counts. Without this, you will be in a very unpleasant place in heaven with no way out. My aim is to show you how to get close to Father. If you're a good person without a clear relationship with Yah, then you're in a spiritual no man's land and will not enter heaven when you die. The Creator has said regarding unbelievers, why would I want someone to spend eternity with me when they do not believe I exist? Yah is calling everybody on the planet to be involved and serve him and help him to have victory over Satan. Fundamentally, we each need to learn to see things on earth from Yah's perspective. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org. Today we're going to talk about your journey to eternity. Overview. For every human being that has ever lived, while living this life, they've been on a journey to determine their future for eternity. This is not well understood by many people. So what am I saying? Every second of every day, from now to the moment you die, you are on a journey to eternity. This life is not the point. This life is a test environment. It's school. It's about determining where you will spend forever when you die. And it's important to understand that when your body dies, your spirit lives on forever, or until it's destroyed at the end of the millennium, if you're an unbeliever and Satan loses the contest, which it's my expectation that he will. So this is based on the article 2023-04-07, Your Journey to Eternity. So you're faced with a few possible outcomes, which I've discussed in a number of occasions. So for example, see the article 2021-10-05, Why Are You Afraid of Dying? 2021-01-02, Are You Confident of Your Destination When You Die? See particularly the demographics of the Kingdom of Yah in December 2015. All of those on the website. Go to the top right-hand corner of your browser, up there somewhere, and you'll find 3 dots or 3 little lines, depending on what browser you're using. And if you click on that, you'll get a drop-down menu, and somewhere on that menu is search or find on page. You click on that and you type in, for example, dying. or destination or demographics, and you'll get a list of all the pages, or you'll jump from page to page, which has those words on them, and you can pick the article. There's a lot of material about what I'm talking about today, and my objective today is to give you the headlines and to challenge you to take what may be the most important decision of your life, or certainly one of the most important decisions of your life. And that is whether you're just going to carry on just doing whatever it is you do on a daily basis, or whether you're going to make some course corrections and focus yourself on where you end up at the end of this life. Other references: The Glory of Death as a Committed Believer, The Horrors of Death as a Nominal Believer, The Horrors of Death as an Unbeliever, 2021-0101, The Mountain of Relationship with Yah. And then further, I've written about the heavenly account that is maintained for every believer, 2022-0901, What are you doing to earn a high throne for eternity? About your heavenly account. And I touched on this a week or two ago. I'm going to talk through these in a bit more detail. So, if you're a committed believer and you make a real effort to build relationship with Yah and serve Him, you have the potential to qualify for a high throne and a position of high esteem. If you've just believed at some stage, went forward for an altar call or whatever, prayed a prayer, and then carried on as though the Almighty doesn't exist, you'll end up in the outer darkness, a cold, black, terrible place with weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth for eternity. You really don't want to die there. And then as an unbeliever, when you die, there's nowhere for you to go. So you just pop out of your body and wander around on earth, haunt people, haunt buildings. And you'll do that forever if Satan wins the contest, or until the end of the age, when Satan and his followers will be cast into the lake of fire to be utterly destroyed with a moment of terror and torment. So not something that you should really be happy with either. So the bottom line: every human being faces a range of possible outcomes on death. The unbeliever becomes an ancestor spirit or demon, condemned to wander the earth and haunt other human beings. Father Yah has said to me regarding unbelievers, why would I want someone to spend eternity with me when they do not believe I exist? So the fate of over 100 billion human beings to date, demons, and where the vast majority of human beings on earth today will end up unless something drastic changes. There's a link to a video on the website. I forget what it's called. Which is a recording by somebody who had this experience. They died, they came out of their body, and they were wandering around, seeing what was happening, seeing witches operate, seeing demons coming out of graveyards, and not able to be heard, able to hear everything that was going on, but unable to speak to those who were still alive. And I think that one of the most unpleasant aspects of this is you die, you're taken to a portal that looks into heaven, you're shown the throne room, you're shown heaven, and you're told you're not going in there because you didn't believe. Then you're taken down to the lake of fire and brimstone, and you're shown if Satan loses the contest, You're going to be thrown in there in the minute of torment and terror. You'll be utterly destroyed for eternity. And you wake up to the reality that you were lied to throughout your life. And you can't go back to those that are still alive, your children, your brothers, your sisters, your friends. Say, wake up. You need to believe. You need to serve the Creator. They can't hear you. You can't do anything. I don't think that's a nice outcome. Then a nominal believer I touched on a minute ago, at some point believed and done nothing since. So Yah's way of looking at it is you treated me as though I didn't exist. You'll end up in the outer darkness, a cold, black, terrible place, with weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth, your teeth, the trash heap of heaven. Father has said concerning such believers, why would I want someone to be close to me in heaven, which inherently means I will give them great prestige and authority, if they do not have a deep personal relationship with me and have not proven to me that they can be trusted in this life? So it's a key point, folks. Why should you be let into the throne room if you've done nothing? And the thing to understand is Yah didn't set this all up because he's being ugly. He designed heaven for believers. When he created Adam, he didn't expect there to be unbelievers. And then he got to a point where there were people who just believed and ignored him. And he didn't have anywhere to put them because the territory in heaven was delimited. So he said, okay, well, they'll have to go in the outer darkness. Nowhere else for them to go. And then he got to a place where there were people who didn't believe at all. And he said, well, what do I do with them? There's nowhere for them to go. They'll just have to stay on earth. Think about it. It makes sense. And then believers. A believer faces a range of outcomes in heaven. With a glorious resurrected body, great power and prestige, starting at the rank of a foolish virgin and ranking up to friend and general, on a high throne next to Yahushua, incorrectly called Jesus, and the Creator, Yah, the eternally self-existing, with massive supernatural powers. This range is a reflection of what the person concerned has achieved for Yah during this life, and this is the subject of the rest of this broadcast. So the thing to understand, folks, is that Yah set about creating mankind, humankind, with one goal only: to create intelligent beings with the power of reason, the ability to make decisions, the ability to be creative, to be in relationship with him. And he created a progression of ranks so that those who were closest to him in this life and did the most for him in this life could sit on high thrones, and those that were a little bit wishy-washy could be at the outer reaches of the throne room. Why? Because this whole thing is an experiment. So the choice facing you today, you can either do nothing with this information, in which case you will likely default to being an ancestor spirit or the outer darkness, depending on whether you believe or not right now. Or you might possibly hack it to one of the junior ranks in heaven. You will not make it to a high rank without conscious, considered, focused effort. And that is what I want to speak about here. Regardless of the rank you aim for in heaven, that's a personal choice. For different ranks, there are certain minimum requirements as set out in the article on demographics that I've just referred to. I want to stress a couple of points. Number one, Father set out to create beings with the intellect and the ability to evaluate facts and make decisions, including decisions about how they related to Yah and decisions about how they served him or didn't serve him. And he stood back and said, I'm going to let you guys figure it out. You people. Figure it out. And we've been figuring it out for a little bit over 6,000 years, and we've really messed up in a big way. Right back at the beginning when Adam rebelled and disobeyed Yah and ate the forbidden fruit, through to today when almost nobody has a relationship with Yah. You may also find the book, The Final Quest by Rick Joyner, informative for a detailed description of the courtroom of heaven and other details. It's available in hard copy from Amazon, and just go into Amazon wherever you are in the world and just search for The Final Quest, Rick Joyner, and it'll come up. It's frequently offered together with The Call, worth reading as well. In my opinion, The Final Quest is probably one of the most important, if not the most important, book that's been written since the time of Yahushua, maybe just about ever. It's also available as a free PDF on various websites. Search in Google for The Final Quest by Rick Joyner, free PDF download. And it's also available on the ETI website under the ETI Bible version page. So just to be clear, the reason that it's sitting under the ETI Bible version section on the website is because I really see it as being of comparable importance, if not more importance, than the Bible. Unfortunately, it's got a number of key errors. If you read my version with commentary and footnotes explaining that, you'll understand what I'm saying. So I encourage you to read, or at the very least skim, The Final Quest to obtain a much better idea of a diversity of topics. As I've said, this is one of the most important writings I've encountered in the 30 years I've been walking with Father, 32 years now. I strongly recommend you read it, and the companion book, The Call, same sources as above. So I suggest you go and read it on the website because you've got the commentary there. The journey. So what am I referring to when I speak of the journey? I'm referring to the course of action you take with regard to the rest of your life starting today. The first step, choose your path. First step I would recommend is that you consider the various references given before this and take a view on what is most important to you. Your rewards in this life or your rewards in the life to come. If your choice is to seek rewards in this life, then I regret I cannot help you. There are a plethora of writings, videos, etc. on how to succeed in this life. The cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches. Book of Mark in the Protestant Bible, chapter 4, verse 19, will hold you in sway, and you should not expect anything of significance from the Creator when you die. Which is not to say that you can't be wealthy and successful and serve Yah. There are people who have done that in the past, but it requires conscious choice. It requires constant focus on the matters of Yah over and above your secular employment. If you allow the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches to overwhelm you to a point where all you're worried about is making money and living the high life, it's very unlikely that you're going to be successful in having a relationship with Yah as well. So if your choice is to seek reward in the life to come, then this broadcast is for you. Note that it is possible to focus on the life to come and achieve some level of success in this life, but it requires that you focus on the life to come in terms of setting your priorities. So the next step, setting your goal. As I've stated repeatedly in articles and on my broadcasts, we exist with the express objective of the Almighty being that we become His friend. If you die as a friend, you will achieve massive rank, massive reward in heaven for eternity. This will require significant sacrifice and diligent seeking in this life. A lower goal will be less demanding. That said, once you've realized that it is possible for you to become a friend of the Creator, I cannot conceive why you would choose anything else. But that is your choice. My aspiration, my ambition, my goal is to qualify for one of the highest thrones in heaven. Yah first called me His friend in the middle of 2001 because I had embraced the truth about His name and Yahushua's name and the Sabbath and Christmas, forbidden, pagan, abomination, and so forth, and really set myself to seeking Him and sharing with others what I was learning about Him. And since then, I've spent several years where I've devoted a certain amount of time to my business and a lot of time to my ministry. In some cases, because I couldn't get any business. But that's a whole other discussion. In considering your options, please read the following. The ultimate goal, deep personal friendship with the Almighty Creator of the heavens and the earth. Yah, the Creator, desires to have a deep personal relationship with people who become His friends. 2021-06-04, the essence of becoming a friend of Yah, the Eternal Creator. And the critical elements of becoming a friend of the Almighty Creator. But these are all articles, they're all web pages. They're in the articles database. If you go and search with the article search, or you go into the article keyword cloud, or they're on the website as well on the on web pages. Search as I described before, 3 dots up in the top right of your browser, or use the table of contents. The thing to remember is right at the beginning, way back when, I don't know whether it's millions or billions of years ago, but a long time ago, Yah, who has always existed, concluded He was lonely and He wanted people to talk with, people to share things with, people to do things with, people to be His friends. So He set to work and He created the universe and all the planets and the stars, which is still evolving. And He created this particular galaxy and this particular solar system, this particular sun and this particular series of planets and this planet Earth. And the plants and the animals. All of that building towards a point of creating human beings to be His friends. So if you want to achieve your life purpose, you will set your mind today to becoming a friend of the Almighty. And if you are not prepared to do that, be prepared to be disappointed when you get to heaven. Let it be a conscious choice. Once you've decided to believe and you've decided to do something to serve Yah so that you can have a place in the throne room, there are a number of options available to you. The first is you can be in the place of the foolish virgins at the outer reaches of the throne room. People who've made some limited service in their life They were never close to Father. They were never filled with His Spirit. A lot of error because they don't understand the fundamentals. The interesting thing about that is if you read the Final Quest, there are a number of people that join our interviews, including one that he calls the Great Reformer, who really, if you think about it, can only be one man. And another who, I know their names, but it's not my job to tell you. You go figure it out yourself. People who are esteemed in Christianity, and they're foolish virgins. So things are not what they seem to be, folks. Then adulterous wife, a little bit closer to the throne. People who were filled with Father's Spirit at some level, but they insist on believing Jesus is God, so they're breaking the first commandment. They're worshiping Jesus. They're worshiping the Bible as the Word of God, breaking the second commandment, making an idol of the Bible. And they have other errors. And this is a large chunk of the charismatic Christian church are going to end up over there. Then wise stewards. These are people who have more or less corrected their doctrine. They're filled with Father's Spirit, and they're exercising discretion and free will to serve Father in this life at a material but relatively basic level. They're servants rather than friends. Then good and faithful servants. This is just in front of the throne. The throne is a massive array of seats. The whole throne is Yah's throne. There's a massive array of seats on the throne for human beings. And right at the top of the pinnacle of that is the throne that Yahushua sits on. If you haven't heard me talk before, Yahushua is the correct name of the man commonly called Jesus. So we get good and faithful servants, filled with Father's Spirit, making significant sacrifices to serve Father, promote His objectives on earth. They're close to the throne, but they're not on the throne. They're servants, not friends. They've not crossed over into a place of intimate relationship with Father. And then overcomers. They've overcome sin. They're filled with Yah's Spirit, and they're actively promoting the matters of the Almighty in this life. They have a strong focus on serving the Almighty, and they will sit on one of the lower thrones for eternity. Then friends, they have reached a position where not only are they actively promoting the matters of the Almighty in this life, but they've reached a place in relationship with Him where He confides in them and asks their opinion, and they actively pray His will on earth. They understand Him and the way He thinks and works and choose to align with Him in this. They've made considerable sacrifices in support of their relationship with Him and towards accomplishing His will on earth. They sit on one of the highest thrones for eternity, close to Yahushua. This is what we were all created for. So you've got this bank of thrones, the lower levels of the overcomers. High up, you've got the friends. And then right at the top, really close to Yahushua, you have the generals and turnaround emissaries, the turnaround apostles. This is a friend who is taking the battle to the enemy and leading major projects on earth for Yah, radically changing the situation on earth. Sit on one of the very highest thrones adjacent to Yahushua for eternity. So the choice is yours. Which of these will you aim for? Now, the important thing to understand that as of today, 5th of September 2025, there are less than 1 million people who, if the end were to come today, would make it into the throne room of heaven. There's one friend, there's about 20 overcomers, or friend in general. A couple of overcomers who are close to becoming friends. And then the rest. If you've not been making a serious effort to have a relationship with Father, You may only be going to make it to the outer darkness, or maybe to the foolish virgins. Think about it. You need to think about it. I would suggest that you aim for friend. Many years ago, or general, if you're really ambitious. Generals are people like Noah, Abram, Moshe, Moses, Yahushua. Many years ago, someone gave me a plaque which read, "It must be borne in mind that the tragedy of life doesn't lie in not reaching your goal. The tragedy lies in having no goal to reach. It isn't a calamity to die with dreams unfulfilled, but it is a calamity not to dream. It is not a disaster to be unable to capture your ideal, but it is a disaster to have no ideal to capture. It is not a disgrace not to reach the stars, but it is a disgrace to have no stars to reach for. Not failure, but low aim is sin." And that was quoting Benjamin Elijah Mays. I challenge you today to aim for friend or general as your goal. Do your very best, and if you do not achieve that high standard, you will surely at least make it to a high rank in heaven, far better than not having any goal to aim for and just stumbling about, surviving every day, trapped in the lie that worldly success is important. The rest of this article assumes that you are aiming to become a friend. That said, even if you do not have that level of ambition, I challenge you to read, to listen on, and contemplate where you do want to aim for. I have great assurance that ancestor spirit and the outer darkness are outcomes that are too terrible to contemplate and must be avoided at all costs. So the next step, charting your course. Having decided that you want to become a friend, or at the very least make it into the throne room, what do? I've stressed in the article 7 components in drawing close to the Creator on the website, that the calling of each person is unique. I cannot tell you what your calling is, just as you cannot tell me my calling. We must each search this out for ourselves. The article, or it's an ebook, 72 pages, or thereabouts, 7 components in drawing close to the Creator. If you hover your mouse on the website, top left-hand corner, it says Home. Next to that, there's a little arrow, very small. Hover your mouse over that, you'll get a drop-down list with about 5 items, one of which is 7 components of drawing close. You can download it as a PDF or as a Word document. And I suggest that you do that today, and that you put everything that you find there into practice. And within a couple of years, you should come to a place where you're hearing Yah clearly, where you're close to Him. And if you keep at it, you will get to a place where He calls you friend. You've got to do it, my friend. I can't do it for you. In particular, it is important that you understand your ministry and calling at an early stage. I just want to outline something, because there's a lot of wrong thinking about fivefold ministries and other silly things. There are 3 ranks on earth, or 6 if you like. It's junior and senior. Spokesman or spokeswoman, a prophet or prophetess. You listen to Yah and you share what He says to you, either in writing by way of articles, emails, or letters, or video, or in person. It takes time before you can step out in this. There's a learning to go through here to be able to report accurately. You do not decide that you're a prophet, a prophetess, a spokesman, a spokeswoman. Yah decides. You made a certain way. You're relatively introspective. You're not particularly sociable. You care what Yah thinks, and you speak what He wants you to speak. That is the most senior rank on earth. Then evangelists. You lead believers to closer relationship with Yah, and you lead unbelievers to belief. Again, this is a particular personality style. You're extrovert, you're a sales type of person, and you don't decide you're an evangelist. Yah decides you're an evangelist. And then a shepherd, so-called pastor. You care for new converts and you bring them to a place where they can go out on their own ministry. Note that most of what most modern pastors do is in error. Yah does not want people to build up huge assemblies of people who sit in gatherings and never act on their own volition. Note that there are only these three categories apart from new converts for the first few months after conversion. Emissaries, incorrectly apostles, are senior members of the above with years of experience. So when you start serving Yah, he's going to show you whether you're a spokesman or spokeswoman, whether you're an evangelist or whether you're a shepherd. And as you grow in that, as you gain experience in that, as you build track record in that, one day you will progress to a point where he says you're now an emissary, which is a senior spokesman or spokeswoman, a senior evangelist, or a senior shepherd. And the senior spokesman and spokeswoman are the most senior ranks on earth. So if you're a pastor and you are shepherding a whole bunch of people who should be out there as spokesmen, evangelists, or pastors themselves, you're in serious error and you're in serious trouble when you come before the throne. Having said this, I can share a few pointers to get you started. But bottom line is that you need to do all that is set out in the 7 Components article. Fast and pray and seek Father until you have great clarity on what it is that he wants you to do, and you've come to a place where you can hear him clearly and dialogue with him as required to understand what he wants you to do for him day by day and year by year. This is really important, folks. Do not allow any human being to dictate to you what your calling is, what your rank is, what your position on earth is, or what your position will be in heaven. That is between you and Father Yah, exclusively and only. So let's look at the elements of judgment. At the end of your life, you will come before the judgment seat and you will be judged according to a number of things. Number 1, unrepented sin in your life. Remember that if you're serious about Father and clean up your life as you go, you should live and die free of sin. See the article 2020-1105, what is required to live above sin, on the website, and also 2022-1106, the covenant of Yeshua, forgiveness, and much more, regarding sin being washed away when sincerely repented of. If you do die with unrepented sin, you will go to hell for a season to pay the price in torment for your error. See 2022-0803, believers in hell for unrepented sin. You really don't want to go there. There's another web page just called Hell, and there's about 20 or 30 paintings by a young Korean woman who was taken to hell by Yeshua and shown around. And you'll see people in torment because of breaking the 10 Commandments, of addiction to alcohol, addiction to tobacco, and so forth. That's idolatry, by the way. It is totally possible to live above sin. There's another article, The Power and Authority of Living Above Sin. And I share there some of my experiences. I've been walking pretty much free of sin since 2001. I pray regularly, Father, judge me severely and correct me harshly, that I may serve you more perfectly. I pray that most nights. It's in my email signature. I take it seriously. So what I'm saying to you, I'm fairly clear is true. Then do constructive works for Yah. What you've done to advance the kingdom of Yah, this is where you need to focus your attention. Whatever you do to advance the kingdom of Yah will count in your favor on the day of judgment. Note that simply living life in obedience to the commandments, worshiping regularly, praying daily, trusting Father to help you is not on the radar screen here. These are minimum requirements to not end up in the outer darkness. What counts here are things that you actively do that cost you something, time or cash. Ultimately, this is a spiritual commercial transaction. You give something in this life to buy rewards in heaven for eternity. Some suggestions. Following are some suggestions for things you might do. Tithes, tenths of your income, and offerings to a ministry that is really helping you, that is really sharing truth, which is having a positive impact on the earth. Could be an established general or friend. This is entry-level stuff. It is relatively passive on your side. Technically, a minimum of 10% of your gross personal income before tax and without deductions. This should only be given to a ministry that will use your funds for the work of the kingdom. Get on a mailing list for ministries that are adding value to you and that you agree with at some level. Read, and where an article seems relevant, share with your contact list by email, preferably with some commentary as to why you're sharing. Then post on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the other social media channels, daily or weekly, either reprints or articles by others, links to others' articles, or videos of your own material, or articles of your own material. Set up a formal email list. There are various email service providers that you can use to regularly send out articles to a list that you compile of friends, family, business associates, acquaintances, etc. Email regularly, at least once a week, sharing articles or videos you've come across that you consider valuable. MailChimp offer a free service that works well. See MailChimp.com. Start writing your own articles or create your own videos or other material to share with your list. Arrange meetings or events to tell people about Yah, particularly if you're an evangelist. Travel as Yah leads to share the message Yah gives you. Folks, there's so much you can do, and there's so little being done. Just get out there and do it. So I'd like to close by asking you, what is the state of your relationship with the Almighty Creator? I'd like to ask you to critically examine where you are relative to Him. Do you talk to Him constantly throughout the day and allow Him to lead you in every possible way? Do you worship Him at every opportunity? Have you clearly and unambiguously heard Him call you friend? If not, you're failing in your life purpose and you'll be bitterly disappointed when you die. If you've now come to belief, please pray along the following lines. Father Yah, I come to you in the name of Yahushua. I now believe that you exist. I confess my sin of unbelief and repent of my unbelief, and I ask you to forgive my sin. And I commit my life to you, and I ask you to take me by the hand and lead me into deep relationship with you. I ask you to fill me with your spirit and to change me and help me to become the person you want me to become. I ask you to help me find people who can help me and help me find books, websites, articles, and other resources that will help me. I ask you to show me what I can do to actively serve you and lead others to deep personal relationship with you. I thank you for saving me. There's a period of 8 days from sincerely coming to belief for the first time, during which there is extreme grace to help you. See the article Critical Actions on First Belief for actions you should take immediately. And then drop me an email at james@endtimeissueministries.org so that I can help you, pray with you, pray for you, counsel you, etc. I would love to hear from you, and I will happily help you on your journey. In closing, thank you for listening. Please send me your questions to james@endtimeissueministries.org. Please email me to join the mailing list, also at james@endtimeissueministries.org. If you decide to draw close to the Almighty, please let me know, and I can connect with you by Zoom, Teams, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp, or telephone so that I can help you with your journey. I hope to connect with you again next week, where I will continue to explore how to become a friend of the Creator. Work with me to make a way for Yeshua to return in victory at the end of the millennium and make his enemies his footstool. Folks, I want to make a point. There is no longer such a thing as a chosen race. All the different chosen groups have at some time messed up and lost out. This is now a level playing field for any human being on the planet to become a believer, to become a friend of Yah, to qualify to sit on one of the highest thrones for eternity. It doesn't matter whether you're African, Asian, Indian, American, European, Caucasian, whatever. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, well-educated or badly educated. It doesn't matter whether you are blonde and blue-eyed or black hair and brown eyes. It doesn't matter whether you're a Satanist. It doesn't matter whether you're a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim or whatever. Father wants you to become his friend. There is no exclusivity. I encourage you to go for it. My time is up. For those of you who are here for the first or second time, please stay on. I've got something to share with you. For those who've been with me for a while, I'm going to say good night. Go well. Enjoy your weekend. In closing, who am I? James Robertson. I have a doctorate in engineering and I'm a retired military commander. I now work as a management consultant. I have over 32 years' experience of actively seeking to draw close to the Almighty, following a dramatic encounter with him on the 12th of March 1993, when he spoke to me audibly in a locked room and I knew for certain that he was real. In learning about Father, I applied my deep-seated aversion to failure, born out of an accident in early childhood, coupled to my engineering and military training of rigor in preventing failure, to my seeking of knowledge about Father. This journey led to numerous supernatural experiences, prayers answered, and clear communication with the Creator. It forms the basis for what I teach in these programs. See the video, Why Seek Relationship, for an overview of what I believe. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org. The ETI version of the Bible with correction of translation errors is on the ETI Bible version page. For recordings of nearly all of the teachings broadcast so far, go to www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or search on Google for Relationship with Creator Radio. Transcripts are on the Transcripts of Broadcasts page. Books with teachings from 1998 until May 2019 are on the Books for Printing page. I publish regular email articles. Email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to be added to the list or to seek counsel or prayer or give me feedback. Visit the website and use the article keyword cloud, table of contents, article search, and Google search to locate the information you're looking for. Folks, that's it. I'm out of time. I'm going to say good night. Have a great weekend, a great week, and I look forward to seeing you here next Friday. Thanks so much. Bye.
Father, I come to you, lifting up my hands. By your grace I stand, just because you love me. I know your favor.
Hi. Are you charting your life course with a view to eternity? If not, please listen to my broadcast on w4cy.com internet radio or talk4tv.com internet TV. My name is Dr. James Robertson, and I've been walking closely with the Almighty Creator since 1993. Visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org for a lot of information about the matters of the Almighty. For back issues of broadcasts, visit www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to find out more. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing from you. Cheerio.